Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Space Cowboy here. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going on the pessimistic side of things. We're going to be talking about how the 2022 offseason for the Dallas Cowboys could impact the ability for them to have a good season in 2022. I understand that some people don't like having this negative mindset, but we need to keep ourselves in a wide open range of discussion if we're going to be honest about our team. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now before we go any further, if you guys could do me a favor and like the video, it does not take long to do whatsoever, and it helps it perform better in YouTube's algorithm to make a massive difference, so that'd be greatly appreciated. Next, there is a very high chance that you're not subscribed to this channel, and the reason I say that is because 87% of you guys watching are not subscribed to this channel. So to help change that, if you can hit the big red button to subscribe or hit the link in the comment section that's pinned so that you can subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome so you don't miss out on more Dallas Cowboys content as we go through the season. Also, leave a comment down below how you feel about this particular topic. Do you think that we need to be worried, or hey, you know what, everything is a-okay? All opinions are welcome. Now, we need to talk about how this offseason went for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, very minimalistic in the sense of outside free agents. But the biggest question is, what did the Cowboys lose? Because when you go through that process, the next step is how do you replenish that? So, a couple of the departures that I think should be noted. The Dallas Cowboys elected to trade away Amari Cooper, and I want to make this clear. They did not have to do this. They could have easily restructured his contract, and if it was a cap space situation, they could have easily rectified the entire situation. And another thing that I think needs to be said is that if they had waited, they probably could have gotten a lot more in return than just a freaking 5th round pick and a 6th round swap. So you lose Amari Cooper. You lose a Cedric Wilson. You lose Blake Jarwin to a terrible injury that ruined his career, to be honest with you. You elect to let go of Lyell Collins. You let Connor Williams go. Randy Gregory, you botched that situation, and he is gone, okay? Now, the reason I keep bringing these things up is because the Cowboys put themselves in this position. Don't let anybody fool you. They lost 2 offensive lineman starters from last year. I don't want to hear, oh, but this person did. It's something that you have to put into consideration. Connor Williams, if you saw the money that he got paid by the Miami Dolphins, you could have brought him back on a cheap deal like that, which wouldn't have had you pressured to do something in the draft or in the offseason during free agency, which, okay, the Cowboys don't really do. Lyell Collins being cut for absolutely nothing rather than attempting to trade him even for the most minimal return is another sign of incompetence from the Cowboys front office. It's no secret that Lyell Collins had plenty of people interested in acquiring him. The problem is, and again, this actually happened with Amari Cooper as well, the Dallas Cowboys diminished the value of the players on their team to the point to where no one wants to trade for them, and then they basically leaked that they're going to cut him if they don't find a trade partner. So now, why would I even give you any form of draft capital, even if it's a 7th round pick, if I know you're going to cut this player literally as soon as you possibly can if you can't find somebody? You know, that's a problem. Amari Cooper, you trade him away, and you really didn't have a contingency plan, especially with Michael Gallup being injured. I don't want to hear this, oh, well, at least you have CeeDee Lamb, because I'm going to go even further once we add the whole signing portion to this video. Look, the Randy Gregory debacle was probably one of the worst free agent situations I've ever seen in the history of watching the Dallas Cowboys. From a guy that was announced to come back on a 5-year deal, which you were very much well aware that you were going to give this guy $14 million a year, to then slip in information into the contract that wasn't there before led you to this just debauchery of a situation. Again, sheer incompetence by the Dallas Cowboys organization. So, you lost all those pieces. What did you do to try and combat that? Well, you bring back Michael Gallup on a 5-year deal, which in realistic terms is a 2-year contract. You bring back pretty much your chunk of backups. Realistically, the only starters that you brought back were your punter, your long snapper, your 2 safeties in Malik Hooker and Jaron Kearse, which were huge signings, by the way. I'm not trying to downplay that. And that's pretty much it. I know people will be like, well, what about Dorrance Armstrong? What about these other players? Well, here's the honest-to-God truth. You brought back a guy in Dorrance Armstrong who was your defensive end 3 and hasn't had a full rotation as a starter. And you're banking on that guy to be your starter, so we'll see there, right? You're bringing back guys like Noah Brown. You're bringing back all these other... Okay, cool. You bring back some of the guys there. But even with all of these re-signings, you still have an issue with your offensive line because you lost 2 starters. You still have an issue with the tight end room because you franchise tag Dalton Schultz, which you haven't given him a long-term deal when he already talked about that. And, you know, in the receiving room, you still have to add 1 or 2 guys because you lost 3 wide receivers. Even though you brought back 2 of them, you still need something there. And you can even go to the defensive end room. You probably have to add something there. So, like, you can add how many of the positions the Cowboys have to address, like we were talking about. And what did they do? They signed 3 outside free agents. Dante Fowler, James Washington, and Ryan Nall. A backup defensive end, a wide receiver who's probably going to be your wide receiver 3 or 2 until Gallup comes back, and he'll be relegated to the 3 or 4 spot for a year, and Ryan Nall, special teams guy. This is where the Cowboys might set themselves up for failure in 2022. Don't tell me, oh, they drafted so phenomenally well, because to be honest with you, they had a solid draft. I'm not going to sit here and say that they had a terrible draft, but this is the problem. You cannot rely on your rookies to replace the talent that you let go. That is an unrealistic expectation. Not everybody is a Micah Parsons, right? Not everybody can be an instant impact player. They're young guys that have to be acclimated into the league. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't be criticized if they mess up. Hey, listen, we're human. We make mistakes. But this is where things can cause a problem. Tyler Smith, you're hoping he's going to be your starting left guard and possibly your starting tackle, depending on how you want to go about that. We'll see how things go there, but you're banking on that guy being an instant starter on your offensive line. I know we talk about Terrence Steele and how well he is. I love Terrence Steele, and I think that he's a great guy in terms of hard working and being able to improve his game, which is extremely important that you're going to need. But you need to figure out if he's going to be the guy, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about how you could have paid him less, but you elected not to do that, and you end up paying the guy a lot more than if you just were to pay him early. You got Sam Williams. We'll see how that pans out. We'll see if he shows up and ends up being an instant guy. But again, you're expecting this dude to step in and be an instant impact with Randy Gregory gone. Jalen Tolbert, you're hoping this guy could be a Cedric Wilson replacement. Let's hope that that's the case. Jake Ferguson, possibly a Blake Jarwin replacement. Matt Waletzko, you're hoping this guy could be your Lyell Collins. Well, that's Terrence Steele, but more specifically, your future at left tackle. And then you have a couple of other guys like Damone Clark, John Ridgway, and Deron, all these other guys that are just backup roles, to be honest with you. And this is in line the problem with the Dallas Cowboys. You are expecting, like, if you have an expectation that your 5th round guys need to come in and be an instant starter, which I'm not saying anybody is, but if that is your philosophy, you can't expect to win that way. The reason why you have teams win championships is because they go into free agency using the capital that they have to make their team better. You cannot rely on undrafted free agents fully to make your team better instantaneously. You cannot bank on that because those are developmental players. If you are trying to tell me that a developmental player is someone that we need to hope does something for our team, that is a flawed way to build your team, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the point I'm trying to get at with this video. The Dallas Cowboys have a flawed way of building their team. Oh, but Space Cowboy, they pay their own. Realistically, they really are a pain in the ass to pay their own players. They act real like Patriot way-ish. Oh, we draft and pay our own, when they really don't do that. They play hardball when paying their own players, right? And then you think that we're going to be sitting here months from now and talking about how the Cowboys really screwed the pooch when it came to this offseason, especially if they don't have a... Again, I'm not saying that they have to win the division or do a certain thing. They just have to showcase that what they did was the right move. And odds are there's a higher likelihood that it doesn't pan out than if it does pan out. So if there's anything you could take away from this video is don't be shocked if this blows up in their face. And I don't want to have people, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't want people to come on here and act like I am trying to spread misinformation or I'm trying to be negative for the sake of being negative. It's an honest critique of the Dallas Cowboys. We are putting way too much pressure on these young guys to come in and be instant contributors to a team that didn't do their, with all due respect, their due diligence, as Mr. Cowboy likes to say, in the offseason. You cannot expect to do good if you only bring in 3 guys for 1-year deals and expect for you to... And you lose all those other guys and expect to have some form of improvement. If the Dallas Cowboys manage to win 9 to 10 games this season with how they went about things, okay. But again, they have to do something. If they're going to pay their own, do it now, like I always say. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Nice little video there. But with that being said, how do you guys feel about how the Cowboys did this offseason? I think that this is something that could impact them down the road. So if you feel that way, leave a like, subscribe. Also talk about it in the comment section. I'm really curious. So I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.